Hi, this is Goldman, captain of the Balliol College Oxford team who won University Challenge 2017, and I'd like to say that you are listening to Toby Berryman on Mount Kelly Prep Radio.
Hello and welcome to Mount Kelly Prep Radio's University Challenge series. Today's guest is Jerry Goldman. Jerry Goldman was the captain of the Balliol College Oxford University Challenge team that won the show in 2017. He is currently reading Philosophy and Theology there. Firstly, why do you think it is so important that young people learn about philosophy and theology?
Well, there's a few reasons. I think, firstly, philosophy is a really important thing for young people to study because it gives you a really good critical view of anything you read, and I think reading skills are the most important thing, especially now with all the talk of fake news and the sort of way things can be reported. Just the ability to take in text and treat it critically and think about, and this especially comes in on the theology side as well, the sort of source of what is being said and how it came to be framed the way it is. And I think that those two subjects, philosophy and theology, go really well hand in hand to sort of address that sort of issue. And then they're also just very important subjects historically. And if you want to think about why the world is the way it is, both of these subjects play a large part in politics and history. The way they are is formed around sort of the theology of historical nations, and the conflicts between East and West can be viewed theologically and philosophically, and sort of political philosophy is obviously foundational in how countries end up the way they are today.
Why did you choose to read philosophy and theology over anything else?
This is actually quite an interesting question, because I originally, when I started at Oxford, I was actually studying philosophy and computer science, and so I'd always, from a young age, really wanted to study philosophy, and I was always not quite sure, and I also really knew I wanted to go to Oxford, but at Oxford you have to pair philosophy with another subject, and so I thought quite long and hard about what I wanted to do, and at school I'd really enjoyed computer science, and so I thought, and I was in the first cohort of the computer science and philosophy program there, but after sort of a year and a half, I fell really out of love with computer science and decided to swap courses, and I was luckily able to do so quite easily, and I swapped over to philosophy and theology, and so I chose to add theology to that because of sort of the things I was saying earlier, and because of its sort of close interlinks with a lot of philosophy and a lot of the philosophers I was interested in, like Spinoza and Kant, and so really the reason I was always into philosophy, I'm not entirely sure. It's just always something that attracted me as a young boy. It's just sort of when I first heard of Plato and tried to read that and couldn't understand, and thought, it'd be really great to go somewhere where someone can help me understand these sorts of things.
Did one of your teachers inspire you as a young boy?
Yes, and this actually relates to the previous question about why I ended up studying what I studied. My favorite teacher at school was a guy called Richard Eisenberg, who recently got his PhD. He actually left teaching to go get a PhD in computer science, and he was my maths teacher and computer science teacher at school for a long time, and he just made those subjects so great, and he was also quite interested in philosophy, so we could talk about all of these things, and I think just because of him, he convinced me that I loved computer science and that I loved maths. And as long as he was teaching me, and as long as I was sort of doing things that he was suggesting, this is true. And so I think Mr. Eisenberg, Dr. Eisenberg now, is a big reason that I studied what I studied, even if it's now different from what he actually taught me.
How has your experience on University Challenge affected you?
It's an interesting question. It's been quite funny walking around and occasionally getting recognised. The day after the episode, I went to the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford with some friends, and a couple old ladies stopped me on the staircase and said, congratulations. And it's been quite fun, making new friends through it, and especially sort of during the filming process, getting to go up to Manchester, which I'd not had the chance to visit before, and sort of getting to explore a new place and make new friends both at Balliol. Me, Ben Pope, Freddie Potts, Jacob Lloyd, my teammates are all really close friends now, and also made quite a lot of new friends at other unis and other colleges thanks to getting to meet people through it, which is just like a really lucky experience, and really hope everyone gives it a go if they get the chance.
What was the selection process then for your team at Oxford?
So each separate college does the selection differently. And so the way it worked at Balliol was we'd had a few people at the college who had been on University Challenge previously. And so they wrote a 60-question long test that they read out. Yeah, quite a lot.
Yeah.
And so they read it out in the common room to everyone who was invited everyone who wanted to turn up. There was a public invitation to everyone at the college. So I think about 50 people turned up. So the questions were read out, and the top 10 scorers on the written test were invited to a buzzer trial. And so we played in teams and just did various. So then we got sent a pack of questions by University Challenge, by the producers of the show. And so George Caulfield, who had been on the program for Balliol before, read out these questions, and we just sort of from that used a combination of the results on the test and the results on the buzzer to sort of see what team made the most sense.
So how was the captain picked then?
It was I was picked because I had the most quiz experience and because I got the top score on the written test. So I was the president of actually the Oxford University Quiz Society, which does quite a lot of buzzer quiz, similar to University Challenge. And so it's a really good way to get sort of buzzer practice and practice that sort of way of playing.
Finally, your team refused to be interviewed by the Daily Mail. What was your reasoning behind this?
Well, first and foremost, we just don't agree with the way they report things because we think that they misrepresent a lot of the facts and sort of perpetuate a lot of harmful information and harmful interpretations of events. You can see this, quite clearly in the way that they report on University Challenge in a sort of minor, unimportant way. That they write a lot about sort of, who's the hottest contestant and sort of, a bit uncouth sort of stuff like that, instead of, talking about how there's these students who are, interested in so many things and trying to study all this. But so it's just sort of, we didn't want to help out, because by being interviewed we're helping them out. We didn't want to help out an institution that had shown themselves to not really have representations of truth or sort of the best interests of sort of the public in mind. And so we knew other places would want to talk to us, like you guys and like the Telegraph, like the Sunday Times and things like that. So we thought we would be selective, people we thought were good.
Thank you for joining me on Mount Kelly Prep Radio.
Thank you very much for having me.